Thank you. So I'm going to kick it over. We have a couple panelists with us today that are going to be accompanied by Dr. Melinda Kavanaugh and Patty LaFleur. And I'm going to kick it over to Melinda and Maddie, who are going to introduce Global Neuro Y Care to you and some of the programs that they offer. Uh-oh.
That's not
Julie, we see your Democrats versus Republicans screen right now. You're muted, by the way.
Failing miserably in everything I'm doing right now.
Look,
so
this
many
is
tabs.
This is life, people.
Yeah.
This is life. It's what happens.
Yeah.
But we can just roll with
too.
it.
Yeah. No, here we go. Tell me, what do you see now?
There we go.
We see Global Neuro Y Care.
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome.
I'll say a couple quick things, and then I am just so pleased to have Maddie kind of jump in and talk just a little bit about some of our programs. But I'm Melinda Kavanaugh. I'm a professor of social work, but I'm also the president and founder of Global Neuro Y Care. And we're a global nonprofit focused on creating education for children, youth, and families, and professionals, and support for children, youth, and families, specifically across neurological disorders, including ALS, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, spinal cord injuries. And we do education programs and books and materials. And that's our goal. And our goal is to really engage and bring organizations together. Next slide. So one of the primary programs we have is the Y Care program, which is an education skills training programs for children and youth, again, across all neurological disorders. It brings kids and youth together to have a fun day to learn from healthcare professionals about the care and really support they're already providing for their loved one. Maddie, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you. So then another great example of a global neuro Y care program is Lukey and the Lights, which is an animated short film about a robot who's full of lights, and it's about his journey with ALS. And the film is really cool because it uses no language to be accessible to everyone. And it's also written by a family living with ALS.
And last but not least, we have a lot of books and materials that we really focus on translating across as many languages and cultures as we can, so that we focus on accessibility around the world for all families and organizations. And the last slide just has our information on it. Please feel free. There's Lukey over there waving in the corner. Hey. And that QR code goes right to our website. We would love, love, love to hear from any of you, children, youth, young adults, families. Anything we have on the website is freely available and downloadable. So I'm just so thrilled to be here. Thank you, Maddie, for being such a fabulous partner on this.
Awesome. Thank you. And Melinda is a social worker and a professor of social work that works with families. So she's got a lot of background and knowledge on this particular subject. So thank you both for that. And then next up, we have Patty and Jessica. Patty works for Lorenzo's house, and they work to dismantle stigmas of early onset dementia. So I'm going to kick it over to Patty and Jessica.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for having Jessica and I. I am thrilled that I have Jessica, one of our incredible youth leads, with me. And thank you, Melinda, for all of the beautiful work that you do. So appreciative, and same to Christy and Julie at I AM ALS, and just so honored to be here. As Christy said, Lorenzo's House is a nonprofit organization that is unapologetically focused on younger onset dementia and the impact that that has specifically on younger families. At Lorenzo's House, we do 3 things. We have a match, a one-to-one care-to-care match of peers of a similar profile. We have clubs, which are support groups, but we call them virtual hangouts because of our focus on the sons and daughters of younger onset dementia. So we have a female care partner group and a male care partner group, but we have light clubs, which are virtual hangouts for children as young as 4 all the way up to 35 plus. I'm going to hand it to Jessica, who can share a little bit about her experience in our teen light club.
Thank you, Patty. So Light Club is super cool. I absolutely love Light Club. So I'm in the teen group, which it's like you get to be with kids your age, and sometimes we have combined too, which has different ages, but we always kick it off with like a meditation to just like clear our minds and stuff, because often we've had like a really stressful day or sometimes just a busy day or whatever it is. We're just clearing our minds, and then sometimes we just have fun questions and we get to be kids because we're caregiving a lot, and we sometimes don't get that chance to just have fun. And if we're like open and willing and you never have to, you can share, and we get like to hear others' stories, and it's just such like an empowering, powerful place. I get to hear like tips and such from other kids, and yeah, it's just really cool.
Thank you. Thank you, Jessica. And then the other program that we have here at Lorenzo's house, which Jessica is one of our incredible youth leads for, is we have a virtual youth summit that takes place every June. This year it'll be on June 20th and 21st, and that brings together young people from across the globe whose parents are still walking with younger onset dementia and those whose parents have also passed, to build connections and build community and also exchange tips and strategies. I'll let Jessica talk briefly about Youth Summit as well.
Perfect. Youth Summit, it's a once a year thing, and it's super cool. All kinds of kids from all over. We have different countries. We get together. We have fun. It's a space of such connection. Like, you just know, being in the room, like, these kids get me. And it's like a space of fun, and yet it's also a space of learning and growth, and yes, just such connection.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jessica. And then if you could just go to the next slide, we just are going to briefly share. One of the things that has come out of Youth Summit is that we have co-designed an Empowerment Plus model in combination with our youth leads, and it is a 3-step approach to dismantling stigma. So often when you're walking this journey as a young person, a son or a daughter, you have these moments of stigma. And so I'm going to let Jessica just briefly walk us through the steps, and then that's all we have for you about Lorenzo's house. So Jessica, would you walk us through the Empowerment Plus model briefly?
Yes. So first, we recognize when we experience stigma. We notice how it makes us feel, and we define what it means. Then we access our personal and community toolkit with courage and intention. We identify a technique from the toolkit, and we determine how we're going to respond. We then empower ourselves and others by educating and dismantling stigma. We respond with empathy for ourselves and others, and we reflect upon the situation after it's all over.
Thank you. And Jessica is one of our youth leads who actually has been leading our Empowerment Plus session at Youth Summit, and she so bravely shares her experiences where she's experienced stigma and how she has used the Empowerment Plus model to respond in the moment. So thank you, Jessica, for sharing about your experience.
Well, thank you all. Look how sweet. Thank you. Next. So really quick before we introduce the panelist, Jack and I are going to talk a little bit about who I AM ALS is. We are a community-led organization that provides critical support and resources for those living with ALS, their caregivers, and loved ones. And as you can see, we've got some young adults here with us today who are impacted by ALS because of the family members in their lives, their grandparents, their parents, aunts, uncles, whatever the case may be. And we at I AM ALS will mobilize and empower advocates to raise awareness and provide resources for ALS. So we do events much like this, where we just share our stories so that you can feel empowered and educated. We have a huge focus on increasing federal funding for ALS, and we also work to help support the development of treatments and cures. And then we also provide critical support and resources for those living with ALS, their caregivers, and loved ones. We have an entire community support group that we work with. And we have several teams that meet throughout the week to focus on projects. We work with sports. We work with community members. We work with minority groups. So we've got a big volunteer base. Everything that we do is led by our volunteers. And I want to introduce Jack to you because he has been one of our youth volunteers and he is really plugged into our legislative work. So I'm going to kick it over to you, Jack, so you can talk about your experience working with I AM ALS.
Thanks, Christy. I really like I AM ALS. As Christy said, I'm on their legislative team. What that means is we kind of have an agenda of working with our own congressmen and women, gaining constituents for other districts, meaning that we can use their name in behalf of I AM ALS to maybe try to push an act as well. As Christy said, that we also help increase federal funding. In 2021, Act for ALS was passed. And so that's what we do every year is appropriations, trying to get the money for ALS in the research and help that it needs for its patients.
Awesome. Thank you, Jack. So now we can go back to the presentation, and we're going to take a couple minutes and have each of the panelists introduce themselves, and then I'm going to kick it over to Patty to go through the questions. So I believe that Riley is up first. Oh, no, sorry, Jessica. I'm looking right at it. Jessica.
Perfect. Okay. So the first question was
Oh, I'm sorry. We're just doing quick intros, Jessica.
quick intros.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry. Yep.
So
Just your name, your age, where you're located, how you're connected to
okay,
ALS.
perfect. I'm Jessica. I'm in Utah. I'm 15 years old in 9th grade, and I'm connected to younger onset Alzheimer's because my dad has it.
Awesome. Thank you. And then I think it's Riley.
Hi, my name's Riley. I'm 18 years old and I'm from Oak Harbor. And I actually just recently got connected with the I AM ALS organization because my grandma was diagnosed with ALS in 2022. And I'm super excited to be connected with this organization and share my story.
Awesome. Thank you. And then I believe it's Maddie is next.
Hey, so I'm Maddie Goldstein, and I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina, where I'm a high school senior. And I first got involved with I AM ALS in 2021 after my uncle was diagnosed.
Thank you. And then Jack.
Hi, my name's Jack Maservi. I'm 18 years old. I'm a high school senior. I live out in Alabama, and my mother has ALS.
Great. Well, thank you all for being here tonight. And I'm going to kick it over to Patty, who is going to be our amazing moderator and ask you all some questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Christy. I am so delighted to be joined by such beautiful advocates. Thank you, Riley and Jack and Maddie and Jessica, for being here. I can't wait for all of us to lean in and learn from your collective wisdom. The first question I have is for all of you, and I'm going to go ahead and start with you, Jack. The question is, what are some ways you have raised awareness or advocated for yourself and your family?
Yeah, so first I'll start with how I have advocated or awareness for ALS in my community first. At my school, I started a club called the ALS advocates. We basically fundraise and create awareness within our community of ALS. This year we've raised a total of almost $2,000, and last year we raised $1,000. So just a general increase, which is good. And also last year we convinced our Congressman Dale Strong to join the ALS caucus, which was probably one of our biggest accomplishments last year. And we really love that we were able to do that and show people in our community and in our club that we may still be high school. We may still be in high school, but we can make a big change within our community.
That's incredible that you can and are making a big change within your community. Thank you for sharing that. And what a celebration to go from 1,000 to 2,000. Just keep doubling it. What great
Yes, ma'am.
work. Thank you. Thank you, Jack, for sharing
Thank you,
that.
Patty.
Yeah. Riley, would you share some ways that you've raised awareness or advocated for yourself and your family?
Yes, so my Mima was diagnosed in 2022. So right after her diagnosis, I actually worked really closely with my DECA advisor, Miss Scott, who helped me put together my first fundraiser, which was a bowling tournament. And we raised over $12,000 there, and we turned it into a DECA project. We went to state, but we did fall short of going to nationals. So the following year, we did another event, and it was the ALS Trivia Night, which we also incorporated a trivia category based on ALS facts to help bring in the awareness part. And we ended up raising another almost $6,000. And we did going to nationals for that. So we ended up getting top 20 in the nation. And then this year, my partner Kate and I, we have put together an ALS awareness campaign where we hosted 4 events, which was the chili cook-off, an ice bucket challenge for awareness, an empathy dinner to bring in more of an awareness and experiencing what life is like as an ALS patient, and another trivia night because of the community's continued interest in the event. And we raised over $10,000 this year. So in total, we've been able to raise $29,000 to donate towards clinical trial programs that my Mima is a part of. So it's been an amazing journey, honestly.
That's so incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that, Riley, and huge congratulations. You're just making your Mima so proud. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I love the trivia and bringing in ALS awareness to that. That's incredible. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing.
And I just want to interrupt real quick and say that Riley's Mima is on this call, and I can imagine she's beaming with joy and pride.
No, hello, Mima. We are so glad you're joining us. Thank you. Thank you for Christy. Thank you for that. Maddie, would you like to share some ways that you've raised awareness or advocated for yourself and your family?
For sure, yeah. So I'd say that one of the biggest ways I've raised awareness was starting the ALS Club at my school. We've written letters to legislators, and we actually volunteered at Lou Gehrig Day for the Durham Bulls, where we raised almost $1,000. And other than that, I've done some individual work, like writing letters on behalf of constituents and patients with ALS.
Thank you. That's so incredible. The power of writing letters and being that voice for people who sometimes at some point in their journey don't have a voice anymore is so incredible. So thank you, Maddie. Thank you for being here. Jessica, would you share some ways that you have raised awareness or advocated for yourself in your community and within Lorenzo's house as well?
Sure. So I've helped co-host awareness presentations to professionals like neurologists, speech pathologists, and I've had leadership opportunities inside Lorenzo's house. And I've had the opportunity to be on the Alzheimer's Speaks podcast. And I just share my story and try to empower others to share their amazing stories.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Jessica. You do such a beautiful job as a leader within Lorenzo's house. And then in these spaces, like giving presentations, the courage and bravery it takes for all 4 of you to share your story so openly. And then not only just share your story, you're empowering others. And then also taking it to the next level and hosting these awareness events. So Oh, I feel so inspired to be in a room with all of you. The next question is for you, Jack. Have you experienced moments of stigma as a young person with a loved one with ALS? And how did you navigate these moments and use these experiences to empower yourself or others in the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like a lot of, I can speak for my siblings. I have three sisters. A lot of us have had that stigma that you talk about of maybe my mom goes through a drastic change in her status of um, like being able to talk is a big one in our family, and maybe she goes down a little bit in being able to speak, and our family dynamic kind of shifts a little bit, especially with her diagnosis. And at first, it was just um, she could do. We just have to help out around a little bit, and now it's kind of like we're missing a person, and we're still having to catch up. It's a very big different change, but um, having siblings for me has been a big help, and another help has been a therapist. We all had a therapist, and we would speak to her, and I think that's a really big help. Of It really helped us all get on the same page, and um, all get all of our emotions out, whether we were mad at each other, and realizing, hey, we're all on the same page and we're all a family here to accomplish one big goal.
Oh, that's so powerful, right? You all have the same goal as a family. And so, how can you work together to work towards that? And I think something that you named too, Jack, that I think is so powerful is we often think about stigma as the experiences that we're experiencing kind of out in the world, but sometimes it can be that drastic change within a family and it can be that shift within a family. So we can even experience it in our own homes. And the power of getting outside resources and support to support you as a family is so powerful. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Riley, you're next. Have you had experiences where you've had to educate teachers, friends, or classmates about your caregiving role or the impact of the brain change in your family? And how did you approach these conversations?
Yes, so I've had to explain my family situation with ALS with teachers, students, community members, and others who have just been in contact with my Mima. And these conversations have been for a variety of reasons. Some because of my DECA projects or missing school, or just because they maybe didn't know how to respond to someone with this disease. So the type of ALS that my Mima had was causing her to lose her ability to verbally communicate first. So there were lots of conversations involving patience and how to understand as adapting to new changes and all these things that all of us are trying to adapt to. Oak Harbor is a very small school, so 90% of my teachers and students know my Mima. So having to explain the disease, the new steps of progression, I mean, it was a difficult topic, but it's really important to have the conversations so that when they do come in contact, they know how to be patient. They know how to communicate without like having to feel upset or like distracted or anything that might um, like affect how they communicate with someone. So at first, a lot of people didn't really know what ALS was. I mean, I for sure didn't before this diagnosis. Um, and I didn't understand how quickly the progression like went, and a lot of people in my school didn't either. So I found that people didn't know how to really act around someone with ALS or how to engage with someone. So I had to really explain the diagnosis and what to expect, and so that people didn't have to get so nervous when they engage with someone with ALS. So I really focused on educating about the disease itself and its rapid progression in general.
Sorry, I was muted. That's incredible, Riley. The power of you educating yourself and then taking that and educating others. So not only will they know how to better interact with your Mima, but they know how to better interact with others in the world. There is going to be this huge ripple effect that you have started by the awareness and patience that you are bringing. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Maddie, question for you. Are there materials or resources that would be helpful for you as someone walking with a person with ALS, or are there things that you wish that you had on this journey?
I would say that the biggest thing is that you shouldn't be afraid to rely on others for support. One of the main issues that I had when I first started my club was how overwhelming it was to instruct and guide so many people because we were dealing with like 30 or so people at a time in one classroom, trying to explain to all of them how to write letters and all that. And it was really overwhelming. But then a few of my friends stepped up. One of them is actually on the call right now. Hi, Nina. And I honestly didn't even realize how much of a difference it would make until they did. So I would say that delegation is a really important resource that you should utilize if you can and when you're planning events and trying to get the community together.
Definitely. And thank you to your friend Nina for being here. Thank you for being a helpful friend to step up. And Maddie, thank you for taking the lead. But yes, what you said, relying on community and support and others around you. You now have this whole room of people. I'm so honored to know you. Lean on us. We got you. We can build this together. So thank you so much, Maddie. Jessica, the next question is for you. What do you wish that the world knew about younger onset dementia, or, for others on the call, it would be for ALS, to make you feel the most seen and supported? How would you want your friends and neighbors to show up for you and your family? Are there any concrete tips? Tell the world what you need as a daughter of younger onset dementia.
Thank you, Patty. I'd have to say I'd want the world to know that it's a very continual disease. Like, I feel like there's this idea that it's not affecting us until they've passed, and grief is only a part at the very end, but I feel like grief is a part of the whole journey. I know with my dad, when he got diagnosed, he changed completely. My dad now has a different personality, sometimes acts weird. I have to help take care of him. And this like feeling of losing somebody and yet going through each stage of the disease, it's like you get attached to this person that you're caring for, like a little kid, and it's like as it goes throughout, you are grieving. And so I guess that's one thing I wish that the world knew, was that support is needed throughout, and it's not just a one-time grief process. And like, as for my neighbors and friends, I feel like for the community to understand and just to show empathy and to treat my dad like a human being, that he is like, despite how weird he may act, he is an amazing person, and that he has emotions and he would love connection, And there's one thing I was to tell, I would just say, put yourself in their shoes, like, feel what they're feeling. It must be so confusing to have your brain like slowly like being taken away from you. Like, it is so hard, like, and to just put yourself in their shoes.
Definitely. Thank you. Those are all such beautiful things. And that really leans into what Riley was saying with the empathy dinners, right? I don't know, Riley, not to put you on the spot at all, but would you be open to kind of sharing about some of the work that you've done with those empathy dinners and sharing that out?
Yeah, so I hosted an empathy dinner, and it was honestly my favorite event that we hosted. We had a spaghetti dinner, and when participants arrived, they were asked to randomly select an ALS symptom to eat with during their dinner. So this like included limited arm mobility, being unable to walk, being unable to communicate, or weighted legs, and then we had all of the necessary tools for them to use. So we did have like wheelchairs, walkers, we had arm slings to limit these changes, and they had stickers that they wore so that everyone knew what their limitation was, and it really helped a lot of people. We had a kind of Q&A kind of thing, and we had a couple people share their experience during their dinner, and we actually got some of these on video
Wow.
of people saying that it actually really opened their eyes, and they got to feel what it was like to have this disease, and it really brought a lot of awareness to everyone that attended.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I think that the more that, to Jessica's point and to your point, the more that we can put ourselves in the person with the brain change or with the ALS or with the dementia in their shoes, the better we can show up. It was something I didn't say this before, but my mom had younger onset dementia. So I walked this journey with my mom. And that was one of the big things that I thought about when I thought about how I communicated with her or what we did or choices that we made is if I was in that position, how would I want someone to show up for me? And I would want them to show up with kindness and being by my side. And so that was such a powerful tool. And I was in my early 20s. I was not your guys' age and I'm just really inspired by the way that you are taking what is happening in your family and with people you love and care about, and then really making this ripple effect for others. Maddie or Jack, I don't know if there's anything you wanted to say. Is there anything that, for the world, in kind of talking about what Jessica and Riley were saying, is there anything like that you wish that people would show up in a certain way for you or anything that would be helpful for you in relation, or we can jump to the next question? I just thought I would ask.
No, not. I really liked what Jessica said about how they're well, for instance, her dad, but my mom, for people to treat them like another human being. Nothing real. They're still the same mentally. Um, uh, they still have the same thought process. They still love me. They still um, care for me. They still um, she still wants to be there for me, but only in the capacity that she can. Physically, for ALS, it's she wants to be there, but sometimes she can't. So trying to make those accommodations where you can still include her in your life is really the biggest thing.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that and for echoing what Jessica said, right? There's still that same person. Yeah, things are changing and you have to make accommodations as a family and as a person, but there's still this person that you love and care about. And so how can you find those moments of connection? Maddie, before we jump to the next question, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I think that everyone else honestly kind of covered that. That was good.
For sure. There was a lot of empathy and compassion and patience. And something that Jessica said that I just want to echo too is this thought around grief, right? There's this anticipatory grief that happens when you're walking this journey and your person that you love and care about is changing. And so I think for her, what she said, it was like naming that for herself. She's grieving the different changes. And that goes back to what you said, Jack, about the stigma is these moments when there's a change with your mom and then the family dynamic changes, right? So there's all these moving pieces around one change. So thank you all for sharing the empathy and compassion and patience and awareness that you're sharing. And then we have one last question for all of you. And please feel free to, if there's anything else you want to add that doesn't go with that question that we didn't cover, please feel free to. But I'd like to start with you, Jack, is if you could give one piece of light and encouragement to another young person who is just starting to navigate this, what would it be?
Mine's kind of motivation. It's not to make excuses. I feel like that I can kind of speak for everybody else on this call, of Riley, Maddie, and Jessica. We haven't really made excuses of we could be slouching in bed all day and kind of saying, "Hey, I can do that because my mom or has ALS or my dad has on early onset dementia, but instead we all rise to the top, and we do the best we can and create awareness and do whatever we can. Start a club, make a dinner. It's stepping up is a big thing. Don't make excuses.
100%. I mean, I was going to say, Jack, even more than just rising to the top, you guys are going a step further and you're taking this experience and now you are turning it into something that is going to raise awareness, and you're legislating, you're doing, you're working with your congressman, and Jessica has these leadership skills and she's presenting to neurologists, and Maddie, you're hosting this club that is growing, that you have to bring more people because there's so many people there. And your trivia nights, Riley, and the funds that you're raising for these clinical trials, you guys aren't just showing up for your parent, you're showing up for a whole community of people. And I mean, I know everyone on this is inspired, but you're inspiring others, and the effect that is going to continue to have. I mean, it's not even that you guys are just showing up, you are taking action with what has happened and not letting it be something that weighs you down. It's something that just motivates you and keeps going. So thank you. I love how you're like, let's not make excuses. Let's just continue to show up and push through. And I love that you named that everyone on the call is doing this, because I couldn't agree more. I'm like, wow, wow, wow. Riley, do you have a piece of light or encouragement to another young person that you'd like to give?
I would say one of the biggest things is don't be afraid to take that step and take action. I feel like at first it was kind of hard for me to be like, oh yeah, I do want to do this. I do want to do these fundraising events. But I did have very like incredible partners the whole 3 years that I've been doing fundraising. And I had an amazing DECA advisor that was there for me and helped me through all the steps of fundraising. And I wasn't as afraid as it went on. And I just want to tell younger people to not be afraid and to ask for help for those who have experience with fundraising, and take that next step to advocate for those with any illness, honestly, any illness that's close to anyone. I feel like it's a big thing to not be afraid.
The power of not being afraid, and then the power too of taking that step. And like you said, you asked for help, right? We now, and on this call, we have Riley, Maddie, Jessica, and Jack, who are experts, right? Like, you guys can help another young person feel inspired, but also think about that next step. All it takes is like, I want to try this, and then reaching out to someone and just getting started. Like you said, it's may feel scary at first to host your first fundraiser, and now I mean, how many fundraisers? You've done 4 so far? You're 4 fundraisers
Yeah,
in?
six so far. Yep.
Oh, 6 so far.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you are an expert. So you do that first one, and then you just continue to keep pushing. So thank you so much. Thank you, Riley. Maddie, do you have a piece of light or encouragement that you would give to another young person?
Absolutely, yeah. So I think that communities like I AM ALS and Lorenzo's house are amazing because they give you an opportunity to connect with people who are going through similar experiences and are in similar situations. And that can be really great because a lot of the time it feels like you're alone in what you're dealing with, and that really is not the case at all. So I guess to summarize, I would just say that I know it's overwhelming and stressful, but just always remember that you have a support system and people you can fall back on.
Oh, so beautiful. The power of community. I think something that I noticed on this call was when Riley would be sharing something, I'd see Jack and Maddie and Jessica nodding, or Jessica would say something, I would see the 3 of you, or Jack or Maddie. The power of just someone else understanding a piece of your story can just help you to continue to push through. And I have to say, Maddie, that sunshine in the back, like it's shining through you, and the power of community. So that little painting on the wall, not the sun's coming through my window, but the painting on your wall is beautiful. And just thank you so much. Jessica, do you have a piece of light and encouragement that you would like to share?
Yes. Okay, I totally second what everybody said. I was also thinking about just the power of reaching out to the community. I think if I could go back, I'd totally be telling them, go to Lorenzo's house. It's okay to reach out for help and reach to others. And I also just feel like facing it. You know, sometimes the tricky thing with terminal diseases like ALS and younger onset Alzheimer's is that sometimes we like to turn away from it. But I just love how everybody here is facing it. They're doing everything they can to raise awareness and be strong and not deny it, and just, yeah, face it and do good with it. Make your challenges your inspiration.
Ooh, that is a mic drop moment. Make your challenges your inspiration, right? I mean, just the power of the way that you all have shown up for these people that you love and care about in your family. And then that has now turned into being part of this panel and raising awareness and all of the beautiful advocacy, awareness, fundraising that you have done. Like, you are changing the world. And I feel like it was such a gift to be in this space with you, and even a bigger gift that I got to ask you the questions. I feel like, oh wow, I just am so inspired. So any closing thoughts, Riley, Maddie, Jack, or Jessica, that we didn't get to that you really wanted to make sure everyone heard? Okay, just wanted to offer that. Sometimes I get to the end of a panel that I'm on and I'm like, oh, I should have said that. So I just wanted to offer you a space, but thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for this opportunity. And I'll hand it to Christy.
Thank you, Patty and panelists. That was absolutely amazing. And I don't even know how we can follow that. But before we open it up to questions, or if you have questions and you want to put them in the chat, Julie and I could read them. But I would love to ask Melinda, given everything that all these amazing young adults just shared with the things that they're doing, the inspiration, I'm trying to get through this without bawling. What are some resources or some thoughts that you can share with them that you can help provide, especially when they were talking about that stigma, right? And how they're dealing with this and how they're, caring for their loved ones with this. So what are some things that you can give them, maybe some advice, some resources that you can provide on your end?
Well, I mean, first of all, it's really unfair to have to go after all of them. So amazing, kudos, spectacular, just brilliant. And I work with children and youth of all ages, and actually I spend a lot of time with really young kids. And this issue of stigma and talking to your friends and really not knowing like how to get this out and how to share this in a school setting or in your community really is quite a bit of a struggle for our younger kids. And so, when you were working with 8, 10, 12-year-olds, they're just trying to figure out who they are. And, they're trying to explain to their friends that, particular families in ALS, that mom or dad or grandma, doesn't use their arms or they can't communicate in some of the ways that you all have expressed. So I feel like I have learned a lot from you all amazing teenagers. But, one of the things that I hope that maybe some of the folks on the call, or maybe even some of you all, can also go back to maybe some of your younger siblings or cousins or friends and really, bounce these ideas off of them. Because one of the things that a lot of the younger kids share with me is they often don't have the words. And because they're so young, it's hard to kind of have these in-depth conversations. They're just not really developmentally at that place like you all are as teenagers. And so when we think about resources, quite frankly, that's one of the reasons why we created the film Lukey and the Lights, is because it helps take down those kind of stigma walls and those kind of shame walls, because it's presented in a fun way without any language, and it's just really accessible. And so, maybe the only advice I could have for you all amazing teenagers and young adults is, share this with those who are younger than you, and not feel, if you aren't already, reach out to those younger kids. you know, share those experiences, let them feel like, yeah, they're going to get there. They're going to get to this place of being 18, and they're going to be able to kind of talk about it and slough off some of that shame and barriers. But right now it's hard for those younger kids. So the resources, you know, at least with Global Neuro Y Care, we try to have as many resources as we can for our younger folks as well, with a graphic novel and with Lukey and the Lights to help kind of bridge that gap of how do we think about talking and sharing these things with our friends and family when it's just so foreign. It's just so different from them.
Yeah.
So I think that's the only thing I have to add, but other than just to say, it's just spectacular to hear all of these amazing voices. I've been doing this work for about 25 years, and I will tell you that you all are some of just the most well-spoken, thoughtful, just extraordinarily heart-leading individuals. So it's been a pleasure to know you, and I can't wait to hear more about you.
Thank you, Melinda. Would you mind putting in the chat for everybody, and then we'll share it out afterwards, the link, and Patty as well, the links to your website and
Yeah.
the Lukey and the Lights, because if you haven't had a chance to watch this film, it's 11 minutes long. It's a cartoon, but let me tell you, it is a powerful message that it contains, and we shared it out in a couple different venues here, and we had a room full of adults just sobbing because of the message it contained. So if you're looking for a resource that you just want to learn more about what ALS is, or you're looking for a resource to say, hey, I would love to share this with my younger siblings or my children as a way to convey to them what ALS is, and I mean, it's a powerful tool. So thank you for sharing that with us, Melinda.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, and I want to see if there's any questions from any of our participants. We have about 12 minutes left, so we would love to open it up to the floor. Feel free to ask questions of Melinda or Patty or Julie and myself or any of the panelists.
And while you're thinking of that, I'll just let you know that we are going to be sending out a follow-up email that has all of the links that we have talked about and ways to stay connected to Global Neuro Y Care, Lorenzo's House, and I AM ALS. So don't feel like you have to like scurry to make sure you have all these links. We'll send it out if you've registered.
Also, I think Julie and Christy, you guys, I know I saw a whole bunch of really cool opportunities through Lorenzo's House and the summit. And then I sent a bunch of our Y Care trainings, which is where, you know, we bring kids together and learn skills and peer support. So I think we sent all of that for you guys. So if anybody's interested in the activities at Lorenzo's House or Global Neuro Y Care, you know, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're all here. I think we're all just here to do stuff, and we just want to support our children and youth.
And in the chat, Grant asks, Riley, what are your plans for continuing your work for nonprofits and ALS awareness in college?
Yeah, so I plan to hopefully become a marketing director in some major nonprofit organization, hopefully with ALS, but honestly, any uncurable disease like ALS or any other disease. So I plan to hopefully climb up in the marketing industry.
Thanks, Riley. Any other questions from the audience? Shout out to Nina for being a supportive friend and member of her ALS club at her school with Maddie.
You all just did such an amazing job answering all the questions. Oh, thank you. All right. Well, Julie's going to put up for you all as she said, she'll follow up with an email, and then we will also follow up with you this recording so you can watch it again and share it with your friends and family. But Julie's going to share with you some final contact information. So if you want to reach out to us, you have any just lingering questions, you hang up and you say, "Oh, I wish I would have asked that," feel free to email us. And we will get with the panelists tonight and we will ask them to answer those questions for you, especially if you have a specific question for one of them.
Before I do that, Jack Grant asked, you talked about doubling your profit the past 2 years. What are your plans for making an even bigger jump next year? No pressure.
Yeah, so we've completed 2 of our 4 projects this year. So one of our we did a soccer night last year. This year we have done a basketball night and plan to do 2 more soccer nights. One at a MLS Next, kind of like a minor league soccer team, and then in our community, and then one at our high school. So we're not quite done for this year. But another thing is I'm 18, and senior, so I'm graduating and heading off to college. So I will. I'm kind of trying to do the best I can to set up the resources and get the younger officers in our club to be able to keep going next year and keep it going.
Thanks, Jack. And as Christy said, hopefully you're seeing this. This is just, we are on Instagram. I AM ALS is on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. We also have a weekly newsletter, and we're also on Blue Sky, which I need to add to this slide. And I realize that this is a slide that you can't actually interact with. So I will also send all of these links to you in the follow-up email. But follow us on socials, and if anyone's interested in getting involved with I AM ALS, Christy and I would be happy to chat with you and answer any questions. But yeah, Christy, I'll hand it back over to you.
All right. Well, if there's no more questions, again, I cannot thank you enough to our amazing panelists. And Patty, you just absolutely rocked it. And thank you, Melinda, for all that you do to support this world that we live in and all the resources and all the hard work I know you do to raise awareness and help support those that are in the ALS universe, and Patty for all that you do to support the kids that are living with folks who have the early onset dementia. So thank you so much for being here tonight, and I will give you 6 whole minutes back in your evening.
Take care, everybody. Thanks so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
Thank you all.